Hey everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 304, being recorded on June 11th, 2014. I'm Ryan Shrout.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Alan Malventano.
Josh, your bandwidth got fixed.
Yeah.
And Ryan got the buttons
now
right.
I'm in high definition and bald.
Not much changes.
Shiny.
Huh? Not much changes. So we don't have Ken here today, so if you see me looking over to the corner in the video to hit these buttons, it's this stuff that's going on.
We have secretly replaced Ken with an Arduino.
Ken has replaced himself with an Arduino.
Oh.
That's bad news for
Bad
Ken.
thinking, Ken.
Yeah, he should like, oh man, it's just not possible. We'll just have to cancel the podcast.
Invented himself out of the job.
But we are going to do the show anyway. It is June 11th. We have a lot of cool stuff happening. But the first thing I want to talk about actually is a promotion for next week. We are hosting a live stream with Richard Huddy on June 17th at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. This is, he just rejoined AMD, I guess we'll say, as Chief Gaming Scientist, which is an interesting title. That'll be one of the topics that we discuss for sure. He is a industry stalwart, originally working for a company that helped create DirectX, and then Nvidia, and then ATI, and then AMD, and then Intel, and now AMD again.
So he gets around.
You know,
yeah,
it's almost incestuous how employees go between these companies.
there is a lot of that happens for sure. But
Well, it beats the do not compete clauses that we used to have to deal with.
yeah, I bet there's still something like that in this.
Probably.
That'll be interesting. So, like, he's coming on and
If
like
only Scott Sellers would come back to the industry.
AMD doesn't have like a product launch or anything that they're talking about, but I think it'll be an interesting stream because, you know, as far as I've been told, there are no limits on what we're allowed to ask about or discuss, right? So we're going to talk about the AMD and Nvidia fight over the GameWorks program. We're going to talk about AMD's developer relations and the accusations that AMD doesn't invest enough money or resources into development, or the Gaming Evolve program, you know, adaptive sync versus G-Sync, all that kind of stuff is going to come up in the interview. So you want to be there. And if that's not enough, we're giving away a crap ton of stuff.
Wow.
The grand prize is an R9 295X2 graphics card with a power supply.
I have a power supply already that supports that. So
you're trying to tell me that
if you get a Ty or Mindo Walrath as a winner, the card will be in good hands.
Interesting. Besides the
And my cat's
295X2
entering as well.
Oh, okay. All right. You do get a power supply that can push it, which is important. We're also giving away an MSI 280X, a Sapphire 280, an MSI 270, an HIS 270, a Sapphire 260X, and 15 Never Settle Forever codes. So there's a ton of stuff that we're going to give away here. And again, that is on Tuesday the 17th, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. We are going to give this stuff away on the live stream, so you're going to want to make sure you are there. Now, if you have questions, as some of these people do here in our comments section, go to PCPer.com, find this post, and leave your question here, as we are trying to kind of, you know, facilitate those questions beforehand and make sure we can get the best possible use of our, I don't know, probably 90 minutes of time with him here, sitting where Alan is sitting right now. So Alan won't be.
So where's Alan going to sit?
Alan's going to sit over there.
I'll be the chair.
Someplace. He's going to be far.
That's what I expect.
That's actually a little
Don't
bit more
mind the
weird.
post.
It's a little bit more weird. Now, if you want to make sure you don't miss that live event, or the day after that, we're going to have a live PC Perspective podcast like this one right now at PCPer.com/live with a special guest. Do we want to tell him who it is yet? Do we?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's get that ball rolling.
It's Al Gore, right?
Who is it, Josh?
It's David Hewlett's sister. We did get her on the podcast.
David Hewlett's sister is coming
You're
on to
kidding.
the show.
No, David Hewlett is. So we're just gonna have to deal with him.
Darn.
Dr. Rodney McKay and
He's
director
going to save the day and like fix the podcast.
He's going to blow up a solar system just for us.
Yes, awesome.
As long as it's not mine, I'm fine. So if you want to make sure you don't miss out on Tuesday's event or Wednesday's event or any of our future events, you need to go to PCPer.com/subscribe, sign up for this mailing list. All we need is your name and email address, and we'll send you an email. Sometimes an hour before, sometimes 45 seconds before, depending on how busy I am at that exact moment. And we'll send you a note to let you know that we're getting ready to do a live stream, or we are in the process of doing so. So PCPer.com/subscribe for that. Let's get into the content because there's a lot of crap to talk about. We kind of queued up some reviews during Computex because there's so much news going on, and now all these reviews have come to life. First up, MSI Radeon R9 290X Lightning. I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time on this because we know the Lightning series very well. We know we talked about the 290X Lightning at CES, for example. I have one sitting right here.
Don't get a hernia.
That's kind of beefy.
This is as big as the GTX Titan Z, ironically enough. So this is a single 290X graphics card, right? Or a single 290X GPU. It's
so it's a 2-slot, but it's not really.
It's a 3-slot. It's a 3-slot cooler. Yeah, you can see that here in this shot here. It's even though the bracket is 2 slots, the cooler definitely goes into the 3rd slot.
Yep.
It has 3 fans on it. The yellow one is smaller, as you can tell, so it spins a little bit faster. It's a little bit noisier than I would like. They do include a fan control, so you can control the outer fans independently of the center fan, but it's louder than I think it should be.
And it's a 3-slot cooler, which almost sounds like a Foreigner song. I got a 3-slot cooler.
Look at these power connectors. We've got
That's a lot of power
two
connectors.
8-pin power connectors and a 6-pin, which is more than the Titan Z and more than the 295X2.
Yep.
A little
We
crazy.
don't need your stinking PCIe power specs.
How much does it actually draw?
Not that much. Not that much more. But see, here's why they include it, right? This switch here is changed between BIOS modes, original versus LN2.
Okay.
When you enable LN2 mode, you are removing the overcurrent protections. You are removing any voltage restrictions. So if you put an LN2 block on this, you want to switch it to that mode, and then that power might be useful.
With such a big cooler and so many power connectors, what happens if you just throw that switch?
Well, I mean, then you would be able to overclock it in software, right?
Oh, okay.
With higher voltages and stuff.
Hey,
but
you know what,
only
Alan?
to a
Did
certain
you ever
point.
watch Hunt for Red October?
I did.
So what happened when the Russians removed the safeties from the torpedoes?
Well, Hunt for October is kind of a comedy for submariners.
Submariners. I don't care. But still, what happened?
Well, then they all got
They
radiation.
blew themselves up.
Yeah.
They blew themselves up.
Pretty much.
It's true.
So they should have had
letting you know.
LN2 cooled reactor core. Yeah.
Maybe it would work.
That would have saved the day.
They've also got neat little features on here like the voltage checks right here on the side of the PCB, the back of it. We don't have that. What was that thing called on the back of the Lightning cards before, Josh? The
A liquid metal T2000 plate.
the thing that covered the resistors or the caps on the back, rather.
The back plate? Just a heat spreader?
No.
I don't think MSI had a name for that. I think Asus did.
No.
Okay. Well, speaking of
Anyway.
Asus, here is the 290X Lightning compared to the 290X Direct CU2. You can tell that they're about the same length, but the cooler on the Asus card is significantly more modest. I guess I'll say more modest. Performance, one of the things that annoys me about these cards still is that they don't default overclock out of the box very much. The GPU clock on this was 1080 megahertz, which is 80 megahertz over the standard clock rate. Which, considering the amount of power connectors and heatsink, the size of the heatsink on there, you would think they would do a little bit more than that. But the Asus card did the same thing in reality.
So did we try to push this thing, or?
We did do overclocking in it, right? So I mean, I won't show you the stock performance because stock performance is pretty close to reference
Other
performance.
stock performance, yeah.
Yeah. Overclocking wise, we were able to get it up to 1180 megahertz. So another 100 over what they came.
1,000?
Another 100
Oh.
over the stock. The stock was 1080. We got to 1180.
Oh, okay.
If we got 1,000 megahertz out of it,
Yeah, that was.
impressive.
Sorry, I was way off.
I could get to 1200 mostly, but not super stable. One of the benefits, though, of one of the problems with the 290X and 290 was you had these variable clock rates because of thermal issues and heat issues. With this, you can see here, this is a segment of the GPU Z clock log, and you can see that it's running at 1180 consistently. Right.
Okay.
So even though it's not as high as we would like for maximum clock speed, it is at least consistent.
Yeah, and you probably could have pushed it higher if you did some of that LN2 crazy
Which I don't.
voltage tweaks and stuff.
I can.
Yeah.
Power consumption, right in line with the other 290X cards. Sound levels, this is the part that I was a little bit disappointed in. At load, it was like 40.7 decibels dBA, which is more than 3 dBA louder than the Asus DirectCU 2.
Well, it's got a third fan.
It idles louder than it.
Yeah, it idles. Yeah, you're right. It idles louder than the load of either the Asus DirectCU or the Sapphire Tri-X.
Well, it's got a third fan, and that third fan is a small one relative.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's still way quieter than the reference 290X, but who isn't these days? So that was kind of my big letdown. And also, this price is killer right now, guys. Let's see if it's still selling.
It's a little expensive.
It's not loading.
It's thinking.
Yeah, there it is. Still $704 for this video card, which it is a very custom card. But you can see you can get the DirectCU 2 for $569. You get the Sapphire Tri-X for $607, or you could get like a low-priced 290X, reference design for $529. So it really puts the 290X Lightning higher than the 780 Ti, and it's like $140 more, $130 more than the Asus DirectCU 2. I think that.
So you're saying you could buy 4 of these or one Titan?
One Titan Z. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were gonna say something, Josh?
I'm sorry, that's too much. That's too much.
It is.
Yeah.
And
Too
we
much,
like
too much. Took too much.
we like Lightning cards, but that's too much. That's too much of a premium over the other 290X.
Well, yeah, I
cards.
mean, in the past, it's been $50-$60 premium consistently, and I think that the quality that you got from it, and the extra overclocking, and the features, and the quietness, let me reach right back
Whoa, hey.
and grab something within reach.
Hey, easy.
Zooming in, enhancing.
So yeah, this was the 7970 Lightning, and this was a fantastic card. It had the GPU reactor on the back.
It did have a
If that
brand.
was, yeah,
Thank
but
you.
yours does not. I don't think they ever actually had a name for the backplate.
Oh.
But the
I was
GPU
talking- I was-
Merkin, man.
I was
How can
talking
you not
about that
call it a
reactor.
Merkin?
What's that?
Merkin?
How can you not call it a Merkin?
What did that reactor do?
I don't know. It did some stuff.
It was a bunch of extra capacitors on the back to smooth out and provide more potential power
Oh.
when it needed it instantly to the GPU.
That's
So
pretty
yeah,
cool.
that's what the reactor did.
Huh.
But yeah, it seems like they did 2 steps forward and maybe 3 steps back in terms of design
Yeah.
versus price performance.
Oh well. So check out that review. It's got some stuff in it, but it's probably not going to be high on our recommendation list because of that price. If this were, $20-$30 more than the DirectCU 2, then you could make that argument. But you need to really, really, really know what you want in order to pick that up. The next review is of the Core i7-4790K Devil's Canyon. I feel like I wrote this forever ago. I was sure as I was making show notes that this was on last week's podcast,
Nope.
but apparently not.
It's because you stayed up really late Friday night to put this out.
He's trying to block that memory.
Yeah.
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 So the 4790K is Devil's Canyon. This is important because it is running out of the box, so to speak. 500 megahertz faster base, 500 megahertz faster turbo clocks, 4-core, 8-thread. It is essentially a 4770K running at 500 megahertz higher, at the same price, $339.
Why would they do that?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I don't know. Right?
Is it planned obsolescence?
I guess. Right? I don't know because
Did Francois
not-
apply French economics to this product?
perhaps. You can see here on the back where the there's extra capacitors on the one on the left there. That's part of the Devil's Canyon stuff.
Yep.
They changed the thermal interface, which is not seen in this photo, but it's a pretty good picture, so I wanted to show it. On there, we talked about what they changed in it last week, and what I want to basically show is before overclocking, performance improvements that you get are pretty substantial. Here's Handbrake, for example. The 4790K is almost as fast as the 4960X, which is a 6-core Ivy Bridge E part,
Sweet.
And how much is that?
like $1,000,
$1,000.
like $1 million. But that's a 8% increase over the 4770K. right? So you're getting 8% additional performance, and this is the
For free.
regular occurring pattern, right? Because it's not just single-threaded; it's multi-threaded because it happens both at the top turbo speed and at your base clock. So overall, if they're both available in the store for the same amount of dollars, you buy the 4790K.
And is that actually true? Like, it's been out now, so are we seeing it?
It is shipping June 20th, but pre-orders had it for $339 on Amazon.
Okay.
And I think even Micro Center, which does stupid crap with processors, had it for like $280. Right, so
Even cheaper, and it goes faster.
Here's a single-threaded performance benchmark, right? Cinebench 11, and you can see the increase here, right? And look how much faster it is than Ivy Bridge E, because Ivy Bridge E has a lower clock speed.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, you know what the best part about that graph is?
It's got
The
that sweet
AMD,
logo in the background.
7850 is 1.03 in single thread.
Yeah, so almost twice as much.
Yep.
And then multi-thread, obviously the Ivy Bridge E picks up. It's got 6 cores.
Yep.
Two extra cores, 4 extra threads. It's able to win, but you look at that performance difference between the 4790 and the 4770, and it's a good part.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not going past 8 cores or eight threads, then
but it's just it's a better part. So, what about overclocking? This was kind of the big. Everybody wanted to talk about overclocking. How awesome was it going to be? The first thing is we look at temperatures. Here is stock settings, stock voltage, stock clock speeds in a 4770K. We see temperatures ranging from 48 to 53 C under load. Under load stock speeds.
how is that compared to the 4770?
That is the 4770.
Oh,
is the 48 to 53. Now the next one down is the 4790.
Oh, okay.
Also at stock speeds.
Read graphs.
I'm squinting here. It's far away.
It is far away for him. And you're ranging from 45 to 50. So you're actually 2 to 3 degrees Celsius lower
Okay.
at 500
higher
megahertz
clock speed.
That's
good.
Right. So that's good. That's
So
a good,
far.
That's a good thing.
I feel like there's a catch coming.
The disappointment was that the peak overclock I was able to get was 4.7 gigahertz, and it took a voltage of 1.36 volts to get there. And if you're not a frequent overclocker, that's a lot of voltage to send to a Haswell part to get 4.7. I have a very, very good 4770K that can get 4.8 gigahertz at 1.25 volts.
Oh.
Right? That is a beyond normal part, though. Right, so 4.7, 1.36 with a Haswell today would probably be okay, like kind of in the middle.
All right.
But we expected more from Devil's Canyon. We expected it, like the whole sales part of it was, hey,
you got all the extra capacitors.
You got capacitors,
the better
you got the new thermal
compound.
interface. Yeah, it's supposed to be better. And clearly, in my testing, it is not. Hard OCP did overclocking tests, and they actually got the exact same clock speed at the exact same voltage.
So do you remember my conversation some time ago when people were complaining about the thermal interface material and saying this is really holding it back? And I'm saying, okay, I'm patting myself on the back a little bit, but I'm saying it's the 22 nanometer process. They're Tri-Gate. It exists and it performs well within a certain range. And when you get above that,
you start getting
things start to break down.
Yeah, you start having to exponentially increase the voltage to get.
Exactly. Yeah. And so
now temperatures.
This kind of is the proof of the pudding that the thermal interface material that Intel used is not really holding the process back.
Okay.
Yeah. Another interesting little bit here is that the when overclocked, so the 4770 at 4.8 gigahertz at 1.25 volts.
Right.
All this is being done with the Corsair H100, by the way. Temperatures ranged from, got up to 91 C.
Okay.
When overclocked. That's pretty high.
Yep.
That's right at the thermal limit, I think. If you look at the 4790K.
At a higher voltage.
At a higher voltage, but a lower clock speed now.
Right.
It's maxed out at like 84. And it goes down to, we're looking in the 60s and 70s in some cases.
Yeah, and so the thermal material is doing what it should. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying...
The process.
What's holding you back? It's the process technology.
The process can only take.
And our good buddy Francois.
Francois, he had an excellent overclocking
guide on Twitter.
On Twitter.
And he talked about needing different types of coolers and getting it down to 40 C.
Yep.
And he and I went back and forth in some other messages about it. And I said, well, where's one of these I can buy it? And he says, well, you really can't. You kind of got to make it. I said, well, who's going to do that? Like LN2 guys might do that.
Yeah,
they will do that.
Those
types of people,
Right.
but I'm not.
For those that didn't see this conversation, like make what? Like what?
It was essentially a hybrid heatsink that has heat pipes as well as direct contact.
So you're taking off the heat spreader.
No.
Oh.
No, he was just basically saying that heat pipes are more efficient when you're over 55C. Like the goal of a large air-cooled heat pipe cooler
Right.
is to get you to about 55C, but you actually need to get below that. And you can do that with a combination of heat pipes and other stuff.
Okay.
Right? But nobody makes it. I asked him, I said, well, send me a link to one that does this and
Yeah,
I'll buy it.
nobody's
and
doing
I'll
it.
test it. And he was like, well, they don't really do that. And I'm like, well, they kind of need to. Like otherwise you can't make claims about the capability of your processor if nobody can validate those claims.
That's true.
Just because
Unless you're going to make that your stock heatsink
Yeah.
on the $1,000 processor.
we don't want
Which
it to be
honestly, you're
1,000.
probably making enough money you could do. Maybe not 380.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I've got a foundry in my backyard, and I'm going to go ahead and just make these heat sinks.
Just whip it out.
And
We just need a fab, and some metalworking tools and just
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, make a heatsink the size of this table, I guess.
We got enough power supplies. We can arc weld stuff.
Well, I'll continue to argue with him. He's probably watching the live stream now, and he's gonna
not
be
yet,
very mad
because
at me.
you know what? I do have one problem with France, and do you know what that is?
He doesn't live in France anymore.
Well, I don't care, but it's part of the joke. Do you
Okay.
know what my problem with France? They don't have a word for entrepreneur.
Is that a joke or?
That's an old one.
It's an old joke. I'm sorry, but I'm pump. They have no word for laissez-faire. God, you people are so uneducated. I'm just going to kill you all.
I know what that.
All of you.
All right, so power consumption wise, idle power consumption was higher than expected. I think that'll be fixed. Load power consumption definitely higher.
You think it'll be fixed?
I think the idle power consumption will probably be fixed with UEFI
Oh.
changes.
Okay.
Processor cost, if this works out at 339, like your performance per dollar, this is going to be the best Intel part you can buy
Yeah.
for that if you look at those metrics. Now, pay no attention to forget that it says bulldozer there, the FX 8350, which is beating all of them in performance per dollar. But I did not do performance per watt on these graphs, so there's that. So let's see if it's still actually $339 on Amazon. It is, shipping June 20th. You can still go to Amazon and pre-order the 4790K. And I think that's a pretty good idea overall. Even if it didn't overclock as well as I'd expected, if you don't overclock, it's just 500 megahertz faster.
Yeah. You just get it out of the box, and it's the same price.
I think that's awesome. So go read that review. More interesting stuff in there. And hey, if you pre-order that processor through our links, I don't know, we may get something out of it. It's like $1.
So you should do that.
It's like $1, and Josh wants $1.
Yes.
I like, many dollars.
Mini 4790Ks.
All the dollars.
I'll take at least one.
Fair enough. All right, next up is another large graphics card sitting in front of me. This is the GeForce GTX Titan Z. This is the Titan Z.
Looks pricey.
You're spot on there because it's $3,000.
Oh.
The GTX Titan Z, as you see here, it's a nice looking card.
It is.
I love the industrial design that Nvidia went with since, the GTX 690 was the first card to have this. Then the 780 and the Titan and all the 7 series reference cards had this. These are nice looking cards. Like, it's got a good backplate on it. I don't think that really helps anything, but the design looks cool. It is a 3-slot cooler. You can see here, and take note of the DVI, HDMI DisplayPort
That's
connections.
the same old layout.
It's the same layout.
So that's a single 4K monitor?
that is correct.
Yes.
So because there's only one DisplayPort connection, you can only support a single 4K monitor with the Titan Z. If you want to, you have to buy a second Titan Z. I
Yeah,
guess-
but look at the structural integrity of the backplate when they've cut into triangles and hexagons.
Well, yes.
I do like
You
it.
know, if you notice in the background of a lot of the Star Trek series, they have feature these kind of structures because. Okay, I'm not going to go anymore.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The Titan Z is a 375 watt TDP part. Compare that to the R9 295X2 that is a 500 watt TD part. Quite a big difference. They both have dual 8-pin power connections, but this one is actually within PCI Express spec, right? So
Whereas the other one's
150, 150, and 75 from the bus itself.
Yep.
You can support SLI if you want to buy two $3,000 video cards. And even though this is so it's a 2.5 slot cooler with a 3 slot bracket on it, right?
Is that magnesium?
It is not. It's aluminum.
Oh,
They went, for a $3,000 card, they went cheaper.
makes sense.
But well, I guess my question is why, if you have to make it a 3 slot product, I wonder why they didn't just make it a 3 slot cooler to help improve, the amount of power heat you can dissipate, and thus
Or drop it
clock
down
speeds.
to 2 in case you had a case that only had 2 slots there.
Well, 2, I don't think they could get to 2 was the
Yeah.
issue. But also note this back plate here. It's maybe a little bit difficult to see, but
kinda thick.
It's thick.
It's about 1/4 of an inch.
It actually came in contact with so on our Asus Rampage 4 Extreme motherboard, the audio I/O panel is
right next to
the top PCI Express slot because it's built for 4-way SLI and Crossfire. So that first PCI Express slot's really high up on the board comparatively, and it actually makes contact with the I/O audio portion of it. Not a lot of contact, depending on how you wiggle it. Sometimes it was on, sometimes it was off. But that was a little bit unnerving, I guess. Here's what the inside of the cooler looks like. Here's what it looks like naked, just for Josh.
Naked.
It is a 11-inch long card, which is the same length as the 780 Ti. Compare that to the 295X2, and that is 1.5 inches longer. It's quite, you can definitely tell a size difference here. It's only a 2-slot
Yeah, but it's
card.
got a bigger girth too, doesn't it?
Correct. Well, the Titan Z does.
Yeah.
So here's the interesting specs, right? The 780 Ti runs at a base clock of 875. The Titan Z runs at a base clock of 705. So it's 170 megahertz.
Whoa.
It's a lot for a graphics card.
But there's 2 of them.
Right.
Okay.
Right. The Titan Z is a dual Kepler GPU, if I haven't mentioned that already. So you got 2 GPUs, but if you have a pair of 780 Ti's,
You're running faster.
You're going to run faster than this. You do have 12 gigs of memory on it and 8.1 teraflops of performance. But you can tell here, if you look at the pricing, $3,000 versus $1,500 for the 295X2. It's not really a close battle in that regard. If you are worried about 4K future display connectivity, you can see the 295X2 here on the left has 4 DisplayPort outputs. So you could, in theory, connect 4 of those. If you're interested in weight, because,
I am. I'm a little fat.
Yeah, well, this video card weighs 3 pounds, the Titan Z. The 295X2 with its radiator weighs 4 pounds. So keep that in mind, I guess.
And if you put Ken on a scale, he'll be about 15 pounds.
About 5.5.
Okay, well, add a plaid shirt, and that, adds weight.
He's about a Titan Z and most of a 295.
Yeah, right, yeah. So we did our normal rounds of benchmarks, Battlefield, Crysis, all that stuff. I'll just look at Crysis real quick here. 2560 by 1440, highest image quality settings, Crysis 3. The Titan Z is actually slower than the 295X2 by a sizable margin, 42 frames per second versus 53 frames per second. It's also slower than the 780 Ti's in running an SLI. And that pattern is repeated in 4K as well. Where even the 295X2 is only getting 27 frames per second on that.
Okay, so why would I buy this card instead of a pair of 780 Ti's?
So I don't think as a gamer you would do that.
Oh.
Right. I think this review makes it clear. If most people had guessed this to be the outcome already.
Right.
But it's fairly clear now that the Titan Z is not a good investment for gamers. There are people out there that will just spend money just to spend money. They're going to build an $8,000 machine from Main Gear or from Falcon Northwest or somebody like that.
So who was it?
And they'll
really,
just throw a Titan Z in there.
Who was it really for?
CUDA developers. Right. That's what it is now. I don't know when it was announced at the end of March if that was the case. I think they intended this to be the most drool-worthy graphics card for gaming.
Yep.
But that clearly did not pan out since AMD released the 295X2 after the announcement of the Titan Z, but before the release of the Titan Z.
Or even the fact that a pair of 780 Ti's is much cheaper. And
yeah, but that's kind of always been the case. a
For the
pair
dual GPU,
Yeah, but not to
right.
this degree.
Yeah, that's kind of
Right.
Yeah.
$650 times 2 was $1,300, which is less than half of the Titan Z.
You could go quad.
Right now,
SLI.
but again, to be fair, it's really 2 Titan Blacks, so those are $1,000 a piece,
You're still cheaper.
which is still 50% less expensive than
Yeah.
a single.
Yeah, but it's
Titan.
aluminum, not magnesium.
Yes,
We're
correct.
paying for materials here.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? To be honest, I don't even know if anything past the GTX 690 was actually made out of magnesium.
Yeah, I don't think it
I
was.
don't know. Power consumption is a good point for the Titan Z, though. It only drew a total system 530 watts at the wall, while the 295X2 drew 676.
Clearly going a little past the spec.
Yeah. Clearly past the spec.
But that's kind of how the AMD.
Well, happily,
that's like the AMD
excess
shtick.
is never enough.
Yeah.
I live my life by that saying. Happily, excessive debt and poverty is never enough.
Well, I mean, I just feel like I think the people that go on AMD in general, like even when it was ATI, that sort of thing, those are the type of people that aren't going to have that much of an issue with a card sort of pushing.
I don't
the
think
envelope.
NVIDIA gamers would either.
Yeah.
NVIDIA just chose to, honestly, if you want to know what I think would actually happen inside the company, is they announced it at GTC at the end of March.
Yep.
They had a preconceived notion of what the performance level needed to be to win awards and reviews and all that.
Sure.
The 295X2 came out. NVIDIA grossly underestimated the performance that AMD was going to produce. They did not think AMD would actually introduce a water cooler. They
Right.
did not actually think AMD would go so far beyond PCI Express specification. But they did. And then I would guess, you remember the Titan Z was supposed to come out at the end of April.
Yeah.
It actually didn't come out till the end of May. If my guess is in that month time period, a bunch of people nervously sat around testing Titan Z, saying, can we push these clock speeds up?
Yeah.
Can we make it a little bit louder and make it draw some more power and get these clock speeds up and be competitive? And my guess is that they could not. So rather than risk failure rate increases or risk anything like that, they just go, well, we're going to release it as it was, but we're going to retarget it towards CUDA developers and talk about it being a supercomputing card, even though it very clearly has the word GeForce in the title.
And the ads look like they're gaming ads.
Yeah, I mean, they're advertising it as a gaming product.
Yeah.
And I think that is a remnant of how the card was planned when it was announced in March.
Okay.
Final point, it is quieter than the 295X2. So there is that. I don't want to spend too much time on it anymore. I think we
To
did on that.
belabor the point, if you will.
It's a really, really interesting product. What I would love to see is the company release a version of it that doesn't have double precision floating point in it, because that's kind of like the thing they hang their hat on for the compute side of things.
Yep.
Right. Release it as 2 780 Ti's instead of 2 Titan Blacks. Sell it for $1,500. You're still going to be a little bit slower. You're still going to be a little bit less cost efficient. But if you're NVIDIA, you're used to that, right? Like,
Yeah.
they're quite comfortable being a little bit higher priced and selling it on features like GeForce Experience and G-Sync and other things that they have. So,
But that really should be a $1,500 card, especially
It
given that there are disadvantages, right? I mean, there are some advantages, but there are definite disadvantages as well.
there are.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see
So
that.
can you
maybe
juggle
we won't.
the lightning and the black? Come on, do it. I dare you.
We'll do it on video
give you-
outside over the concrete.
Yes.
I think
I'll give you $5.
I think over carpet's just cheating in
Okay.
reality. So, real quick, Maury's not on here to talk about it, but he did post a Gigabyte Z97X SoC Force motherboard. If you like orange and black and you're a Bengals fan, or maybe you just like orange and black, this is the motherboard for you.
I think I remember seeing that. Didn't we have a discussion about that recently
What, this motherboard?
on like a live stream?
We did. When
Yeah.
Leon was here, we talked about this specific motherboard because it had all these damn buttons.
Yeah. They had to
on the
include a
right-hand side.
guide.
Yeah, here it is.
Yeah, just for the buttons.
Here's a guide. Oh my God, that's a lot of buttons.
Yeah. Well, some of it's like voltage measurement points and stuff like that.
This
too.
is the as the name would imply, it is the overclocking version of this board, right?
And that section of buttons and pinouts and stuff is like overclock central.
If you want to see what makes Maury just his heart aflutter in terms of motherboards, come look at this. I'm a little bit. There's 2 PCI slots on this.
Hey, I've
motherboard.
got a PCI
Sound card, just like me.
Yeah, but you guys live in 1999.
No, it's a Zonar.
I'm sorry, 2002.
It's a Zonar. There's nothing wrong with a Zonar.
Osentech, damn it.
Move on,
X5.
move
So
on.
2004. 2005.
Still
really good.
Almost a decade. It's almost a decade.
Okay.
So I've got to ask this, Ryan.
Yeah.
When Leon was on there,
Yep.
did Ken say, the fog is getting thicker? And did you jump in and rub Leon and say, Leon's getting larger?
I don't recall that happening.
I'm going to go with no.
That's too bad.
And again, Jimmy, do you understand this reference?
Yeah.
Disappointedly.
That's a good thing or not, but I do.
Yeah, I don't know if I would admit that, actually. I think I'd go back and I'm going to
Have
rewind
you ever
this,
watched
edit it.
Airplane?
Yeah.
The fog is getting thicker, and Leon's getting larger. You don't... Seriously?
Yeah, but that's such an old reference.
Yeah,
It's
I haven't seen
78,
it.
for God's
I haven't
sakes.
seen it in a
It's
while.
just 78. I was 3. Yeah.
More he does his overclocking testing. He likes it. I was surprised with the pricing on it. It's only $209.
Yeah. Pretty cheap considering
is-
what you're getting.
Yeah, I think so. And it did get an Editor's Choice Award. So if you're interested in a Z97 platform, maybe for a Core i7-4790K, it is worth checking out Maury's review of that. Now, this is the part in the show where I have to go back. Did you add a link in there to that thing? You did. There it is. All right.
M6M?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
So we took a look at the Plextor M6M, and as the name kind of sort of implies, it's mSATA.
This is an SSD, everybody.
Yes, mSATA SSD. Well, I'm the storage guy, so it's probably an SSD. So 256 gig model. It is the Marvell controller that we've seen in other recent stuff that we've looked at, like the MX100 and the ADATA. What is it? What was that model number? Oh, I forgot it now. Something 900.
Okay.
We did a whole capacity spread of the
All right.
ADATA series that came out as well. Basically, there's a lot of drives
it's
coming
so
out.
Cute.
So this is like really tiny.
Let's take a look at the internals.
What's actually there are not that picture, but the next one is actually internals because I had to peel
The sticker
off. Yes,
okay.
to get to that.
All right.
So Marvell controller driving Toshiba flash, which is actually a little different than most of the other things we've looked at because most of those have been either Micron or IMFT flash or that sort of thing.
Right.
Right. So this is the first one we're seeing that was driving Toshiba flash, which Toshiba flash, the toggle mode stuff is known to be a little bit quicker on like the latencies
Okay.
and that sort of thing.
Which tests do I want to look at here?
Really, pretty much anything you look at will
File
be
creation, file
mostly
copy?
even.
Okay.
Like when you compare it to a respective 2.5-inch Marvell unit, which is surprising because most of those have 8 flash packages in them versus this mSATA form factor, you can only fit 4, right? So you might think there's less channel count, less stuff like that, but the toggle mode flash actually has multiple channels to it, so you can actually still talk to it like over multiple channels to a single package,
Gotcha.
right? So in the end, it basically acts the same. I would go to the iometer page, which is actually quite surprising because you see this really...
All right, let's do that.
You see this really, really tiny mSATA SSD doing like the same thing that you see much more powerful SSDs.
Like the Vertex
Doing.
460.
Yeah, like a Vertex 460, which what I threw in there kind of sort of
Higher than
comically.
the Samsung 840 Pro?
Let's see. The 840 Pro is in there somewhere.
Is the dark
Yes.
is this dark cloud?
And it is actually going higher than that. So, yeah, this is pretty darn good for an mSATA part, right?
Why is that? Why is it higher than
Well, first of all, the Marvell controller is nothing to sneeze at. It's actually it's a recent controller.
Okay.
It's been released after the 840 Pro controller
yeah.
and other things we're comparing it to. So it is pretty much a brand new controller. And above that, it's driving a faster type of flash than we've tested it with previously. So the controller is
How would
already
this
fast.
compare to an MX100 had we put that in there?
The MX100, it basically be around the same.
Okay.
MX100 was about the same as the ADATA drive, and
Right.
the ADATA drive is in there, in the review, as a
Okay.
comparison point. So, yeah, pretty speedy. And the cost per gigs were kind of kind of hit and miss.
I find that very common with mSATA.
Yeah, because
drives.
they're not, it's hard to find them on some websites. Like most of the people that listed them on Amazon showed like there were only a couple left in stock, that sort of thing, and it just came out, so it's not really that they're selling out. Probably that they only got a few.
Right.
I would imagine, and they're just trying to build up their inventory. So the pricing's kind of bouncing around. I would say that if you do need a mSATA SSD, and
I'm guessing this is not 256 terabytes. We should probably fix that typo.
yeah, that's not terrible.
Because I would buy a 256 terabyte SSD for $150.
the cost.
Maybe
is
in
amazing.
2025. You can
Yeah.
do so.
Maybe. Then it'd just be like a thumb drive. It just yeah.
Corsair makes it, and it'll burn out in 3 days, and you don't care.
Yeah. So I mean, this controller, the controller's sound technology. We've seen it in a few models now. Doesn't seem to be getting any kind of blowback on feedback saying, "Oh my goodness, there's issues." Nothing like that. Solid performer. If you need mSATA and it's a good cost per gig that you happen to find, then I would say do it because it's pretty good.
All right. For building that Nook.
For building a Nook, or there's motherboards that have mSATA.
A lot of
ports on them.
motherboards now that have
Yeah.
mSATA on them now.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's take a look at some news items that crept up this week. Google's Project Tango, which I had never heard of until this week.
Neither did I.
And apparently Ken had known it because he has nerd friends in robotics courses and stuff.
Okay,
And
so
apparently
what's-
Tango is something about a creating a platform that has spatial awareness in like a mobile device.
Okay.
That then robotics should be able to use that. Right. They show it using it for applications, but I think Ken was saying that the eventual goal would be you just strap it to a robot and then it feeds all the data to it. Right. That would be kind of the goal.
Sounds cool, but it sounds very niche right now.
Sure, it is. So at Google will be, I think, showing at Google I/O, which is in this month. I think it's the end of this month. They announced a prototype, not a prototype, but like a development platform on a tablet.
Okay.
And this tablet happens to be powered by the Tegra K1, right, which is that new SoC from Nvidia that is got the Kepler-based cores in it. It has OpenGL support instead of just OpenGL ES support, things like that.
Yep.
And it will be priced at $1,024, and it will ship later this month.
Ha ha ha.
To a developer.
I see the joke.
If you're a developer,
There's a joke there.
yes, this
Well,
is not.
yeah,
This
it's
is
a kilo dollar. It's $1
This is not meant to be a consumer device, much like Google Glass was not meant to be a consumer device. It's meant to be, let's get this to the people that are developing stuff for it.
Yeah.
It's a low run item, so $1,000 is kind of the going rate. I would love to get my hands on one of these just because it's going to be a Tegra K1 device with, I don't know if he lists the other specs here in this post, but it's got a high resolution screen. It's a 7-inch device, but it's got new different types of cameras.
Yeah.
And I just want to play with it.
I can see the conversation going on Google. Like, how much are we going to charge for this? And like, some computer savvy guy just goes like, oh, $1K. And then like the other computer savvy guy goes, $1,000.
No. It'll be $1,024.
Yes.
Dollars.
That's how he typed it in. It's like,
I think it was a PR marketing person.
probably.
Trying to get
Not a
attention.
kibble dollar. A kilo dollar.
Yeah. Not a kibba dollar.
God, I hate that terminology.
So I don't know if we actually covered this on the podcast, but Microsoft announced that it was going to release the Xbox One without Kinect built in,
Wait.
without Kinect packed in the box.
Okay.
Right. And they were going to lower the price by $100. Great. Whatever.
And then the Kinect costs how much?
Probably $100.
I would hope so.
I don't know.
It would suck if it was like 150.
They're just trying to increase their market share, over Sony. But what's interesting to me, as Scott wrote in this post, that Microsoft is allowing developers now to use the Kinect-Reserved shaders. So when Xbox One was released, and we were talking about all the specs, and we debated about which one was going to be the most powerful one, one of the things that came up was that because Kinect was always on, it was always needed to do audio processing.
Sure.
It always needed to do video processing to recognize faces and stuff. That a certain portion of the APU in that system was reserved for Kinect processing.
Okay.
Well, now that Kinect is not required to be in the box, there is apparently developers will have access now to that shader power. It will no longer have to be reserved for the Kinect.
But what happens if a Kinect is plugged in?
I don't know the answer to that.
Oh.
I don't know. But as Scott
A
writes,
small gnome will jump out of the Blu-ray device and unplug your Kinect.
Well, I mean, I would imagine if you were playing a game that was not using the Kinect, maybe there was some kind of software switch you can do to make it so that it's not... Because you could, while you're playing a game, get the
Not
Xbox
until
to do
now.
other stuff, right? Still? Like, how did that work, Ryan? Like, you have...
I mean, you still could.
Like, you're in the middle of a game. Can you, like, tell the Xbox to do something through the Kinect? And
Yeah.
So
you're in the middle of the game, you say, Xbox, go home. And
So it's
listens.
using that other
Yeah.
stuff all
It's
the
there.
time, right?
Yeah, so I don't know what they're going to do. But it was interesting because now, apparently, instead of being a 36% theoretical performance deficit to the PlayStation 4, it is only a 29% deficit. So it's getting 7%
Yeah.
compute resources.
I have a feeling that they're only able to claim that just because it didn't come with it, but as soon as you plug it
PCs.
in, you're not going to get that. So,
But they got eCache. Come on.
yeah.
Word.
High
dog.
speed eCache, 32 megs.
They just
in the
wanted the
house.
spec to be a little better.
In a similar vein, Xbox One controller PC drivers now available. I find this cool.
Me too. I always use an Xbox controller. Well,
Yep.
not an Xbox One controller, but I've used a regular Xbox controller.
The only
Yeah,
kind,
it's because you cheat on Grid 2.
What? With
Yeah.
an Xbox controller?
You know what? Use a wheel sometime and then use the Xbox controller. You get automatic cheats when you've got a controller like the Xbox.
Well,
is
wait a
it
minute.
cheating or are you just like playing the game better?
How is using a controller versus a wheel for a driving game like a better thing?
Well, you know what? If they had the level of hardness, should I really say that?
Nope.
Not coming from
Continue.
you.
Okay, think about
What, on a douchepad?
the
Oh, do it.
degrees of turn
Right.
with an Xbox controller versus an actual wheel that can do a couple of 100 degrees,
Okay.
and versus that. They have to, literally put in kind of cheats for the guys who use the controllers because you don't have that degree of control with
I think you're probably right.
15 degrees of thumb.
Just
versus-
change the sensitivity of your steering wheel.
Yeah.
So that going like this turns at 180
It
degrees.
doesn't work because it makes it even worse. It's awful.
Yeah.
So,
Josh,
anyway.
your right arm is so strong. You can flip that wheel like nobody's business.
I've been working out.
Yeah. That's one way to say it.
Oh, wrong button. So if you have an Xbox One controller, you can do that now. It has to be attached to a USB. It doesn't do wireless yet.
Okay. I
Which
wonder
is,
if they'll make a
which is probably
little
fine.
like wireless receiver thing like they used to make for the regular Xbox
They
controllers.
used to. They stopped towards the end of its life.
Yeah.
I don't think they care that much.
I don't know. If it catches on enough, maybe they'll bring it out
Maybe.
again.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Jeremy, you want to tell us about PCI Express 4.0? Because why not?
Well, because, hey, yet again, PCI Express has lived up to our expectations and doubled bandwidth. You know,
Sweet.
PCI 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0, we've been doubling it. So now you're looking at a lovely 2 gigabits of bandwidth per lane per direction.
Sorry, could you say that again? To what?
Is he doing
2?
gigabytes?
No. Did you say gigabips?
Yeah. No. And you're right. It is bytes, is it not?
Yeah, it's gigabytes, not
Yes.
gigabits.
Because that's a measure of size, not bandwidth. Regardless.
I don't know.
In fact, we should put up the math because the gigabips is also impressive. Regardless, it's double what it used to be.
Okay.
I like that.
So PCI 4.0, you're looking at a 16 lane is now going to be 32 giga thingies inbound
Gigabytes.
and 32 gigabytes outbound.
Per second.
So this is doubling it. It's almost hitting the point where you're matching GDDR5 bandwidth. Not quite, but you're getting significantly closer. And
Unfortunately, you have to have a heat sink on the traces in between.
You may well.
Yeah.
Because, that is part of it, is that this is going to be... It's not going to be cheap to do. You're going to have a lot of extra traces just to sort of deal with this. But it's going to be lovely to see. And it's really nice that of all of the things that we've been promised are going to double every generation, PCI Express is actually delivering on it for the most part. Then again, there's the argument that most cards aren't actually fully utilizing PCI 3.0 at this point. So,
But
filing
SSDs
4.0,
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm waiting
But
for a
Alan-
SATA 12G, and I'm holding my breath, so I'm turning real blue.
So, by comparison, if you look at I think this is going to take a little while. to actually
For what?
for you to see it. Because like, okay, so 10 gigabit, like say, let's compare this to 10 gigabit Ethernet,
Okay.
right? Which sends, I mean, it's kind of sort of,
That's 1.2 gigabytes per second.
which is, you can compare to this 2 gigabytes per second.
Yeah, but that's over
right?
copper with 15 to 30 meters.
Right, right,
And
right, but
we're
it's
talking
spread out,
about
but it's
8
longer.
inches.
But it's spread out over
Basically 2x Jeremy Hellstrom.
Yeah. But it's but the Ethernet thing that's spread out over 4 twisted pair cables, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those parts still use like an awful lot of power, even just to receive. Like not like when they're transmitting, even to receive, they're drawing like watts of power, right? So this is doing more than that on
So his
one
heat sink
lane.
thing maybe would be able to do that.
Oh, he's not kidding.
It's going to be a lot of power just for the data transfer part. Until the parts become so much more efficient.
What we
Right.
need is
And that was the other thing I didn't see was how much wattage was going to be carried over this.
Yeah, true.
It might have been mentioned. I don't think it was.
Maybe what we
but,
need is a hybrid cooling solution that uses heat pipes and standard copper.
I know somebody who can help you out with that.
And it also makes sense for the Tough series from Asus. Because now all of a sudden, having a giant heatsink over top of your motherboard might actually
tiny
be
spinning
necessary.
fans.
Yeah. With like 8 fans just all blowing
Oh, just whirring away.
on all the traces, yes.
But like I say, like Al said, it's going to be a long time before a graphics card takes advantage of this. But PCIe SSDs, now you're talking.
Well, they still got a way to go on number of lanes, right? Even the P3700 is only a 4-lane
4-lane
card.
PCIe 3.
Yeah. I mean, you can go all the way to 16 there. So
I wonder if there's a reason that there's a benefit to going 4 lanes PCIe 4 before going to like 8 lanes PCIe 3. I wonder if there's any
well, it depends
reason
on
why you would do that.
it. Well,
I don't know. I'm not saying there is. I'm literally like technologically.
Come on, wider is better.
I just think
Probably.
I think the parts are just going to be
Well,
so expensive.
did we ever
coming
see
out.
PCI Express by 16
3.0?
2.0 SSDs?
No.
Right, we didn't. We went straight to PCIe 3. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why I'm curious why that never happened.
We've seen 2.0 by 8
8.
at the most,
Yeah.
and now it's 3.0 by 4, which is basically
which is the same bandwidth,
Yeah.
right? So
So obviously your bottleneck is still in the controller and the flash.
Yeah, pretty much.
oh yeah, I mean, you didn't. I mean,
We were not pegging.
we were not paying PCI Express
No.
4.
No.
4 lanes.
Correct.
PCI Express 3.0, 4 lanes.
4 lanes. Yeah. By 4.
Yeah, I gotcha. Other news: NVIDIA Shield tablet is apparently a thing. NVIDIA Shield tablet. Tech Report saw a screenshot of this on the NVIDIA Tegra Zone. It's listed as Shield tablet. There's a QR code. No pictures, no stats, no features, nothing like that. But it does maybe confirm that they're working on something else. We thought it was going to be Shield 2. Maybe it is, in fact, something called Shield Tablet. I don't know. But if it has a Tegra K1, that would be cool. Apparently, it is expected to be based on Tegra K1, 2 gigs of RAM, and have a 2048 by 1536 touch display. It's a lot of...
Which still doesn't sound like a Shield to me.
No, I don't... Yeah, the idea of a Shield tablet sound is odd because the Shield is, to me, the controller.
Right.
Unless they're going to go into the dock business.
I mean, maybe they use the Shield brand. They have the Shield controller. I don't know. They have the Shield. They have the Shield
Right.
tablet. They have the Shield console, right? Because you can put a Shield in console mode, hook it up to your TV,
Yeah, but
and
then
then
what are
use
you gonna-
use another Bluetooth controller to attach
Hey,
to.
maybe they're copying AMD. Remember those things at CES? The tablets would have the built-in, control stuff. Do you remember?
The Razer.
I don't know who it was, but no, the AMD built one of their own.
They
that
did, but
had
Razer
the-
had it with like a tablet, but it had like game controller things on
Exactly,
the side of
yeah.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe it's that. You're right. Maybe it's something in that vein too. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what they do with that if they continue to push OpenGL on these. Right? We saw, even before without full OpenGL support, they added Portal 2 and Half-Life 2,
Yep.
or Portal and Half-Life 2 to it, which was neat. Anybody excited to play Battlefield Hardline? Jeremy?
Well, isn't it sort of like Counter-Strike Battlefield, cops and robbers? I'm sorry. I'm miffed still at EA for trumping Battlefield titles constantly. You
mean
know,
releasing them too quick?
Battlefield
person
Vietnam, and
stole
then
a
I bought
person's
Battlefield
purse,
2, and then
he
I
ran
bought
into the
Battlefield
building.
2033, and then I bought Battlefield 3. And we've already got cops and robbers going, and really? Cops and robbers?
Josh?
Because you know what? We found a perp who stole a woman's purse, and he ran into that building, and so we destroyed the building to get the perp.
It sounds
the
like
only
a
way to be
legitimate
sure.
reason to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was announced during E3, the Battlefield Hardline has a closed beta that is actually going on now. I think I've already downloaded it, but I haven't installed it yet. So I don't know. They apparently, this is 32 player matches instead of 64 player matches because 16 cops and 16 robbers sounds like the right number to me.
No, it doesn't.
Sounds like the right number for all the crime that happens. I have no idea. Like I literally saw nothing about this other than it came out Monday and we downloaded it and I haven't done anything with it yet. So,
Hey, Frostbite 3.
is that what it's
True. It's pretty.
Yeah, that's what it's used.
Pretty. Also, probably going to be pretty is Grand Theft Auto 5 on the PC coming out this fall.
Sweet.
Anybody interested in this?
Probably
No,
good
if you
for those.
combine these two games,
Yeah.
so you can either
Combine 'em.
play, you're playing Grand Theft Auto 5, and you're either the perp
And
with your
Payday
team of
and Battlefield.
perps or the cop. See, now that would make almost sense to me.
Josh, did you ever play in the Grand Theft Auto games?
No, because Tipper Gore turned me away from those
Too
at
violent.
ripe early
Too
age.
violent. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they announced it for the PC and as well as Xbox One and PS4.
Yep.
You know, kind of bringing it to all that stuff at the same time. The PC version of Grand Theft Auto 4 was incredibly impressive looking. Like visually, worlds better than what was on the consoles.
And
Obviously, the consoles are very old. When they came
Popular
out.
with the mod guys too.
The modding community did great things with that.
Yep.
I'll be curious to see where Grand Theft Auto 5 starts in terms of looks and styling and performance. Grand Theft Auto 4, even when it launched, was horribly inefficient on the PC.
Right.
It required tons of hardware to run at what I think were subpar graphic levels
Yep.
until the modders kind of got a hold of it and tweak things. And now, like Grand Theft Auto 4 and Skyrim are kind of like those two games that have been modified to like hyper realism levels. Some of the stuff in Grand Theft Auto 4 is impressive. Ken ran it here for a little while, like the car mods and stuff that they did that were really awesome.
Well, you know, they said that this is more than just texture resolution and overall resolution. So hopefully we'll see some interesting things.
I hope so. All right, let's get into it. Our hardware software picks of the week. And I have my hardware pick right here. I've been pushing buttons on it all day. This is the Switcher Revision 1.1 from Ken Addison, September 2013. This is an Arduino-based thing.
Monstrosity.
Powered by USB.
That Ken is certainly a sharp individual.
Yep, he's doing good stuff. It's got
And he's a
little
snappy
buttons on it.
dresser.
He is a snappy
He is
dresser.
a snappy dresser. I believe the bottom of that PCB is plaid.
He's working on like making a product out of this. It's what?
The bottom of that PCB, it's like white and blue.
Yeah, that's the logo of Arduino.
Where have we seen? Oh, darn. There's a connection here. I just need to make it.
This is the Liam board. But I tell you what, Ken's trying to productize this. So if anybody wants to buy this off me and beat him to the punch, I'm selling it for $3,000. I got to pay for that Titan.
Sweet.
And then you too can do things like this
From across the room.
from across the room.
Don't break it. Don't break it.
I'm
Push the wrong
Cthulhu.
button,
Screwing
and
up the
Josh will
video.
appear.
I'm screwing up the video encoding. So
Yes.
there's that. All right. So that is my pick. So thanks to Ken for getting that up and running again for us so that we can continue to have a podcast while he deserted us to go hang out with his friends. But let's move on. Jeremy, what do you got for us?
Damn it, I was trying to say 16 gigatransfers, by the way. It wasn't gigabits, it was gigatransfers. that PCI
Gigabits was a
Express
funny
does.
word. I didn't know how to react to that, really.
It
Go ahead.
happens. So, and I quote directly from this link, which is messing up for me for some reason.
What is that?
Wow, that looks
Somebody
like some
picked
terrible
up
soldering.
a key, a wireless charger, and suddenly realized that he started to loathe his other devices because they required lewd USB penetration to charge themselves.
Whoa.
So he
Wait, what?
figured out a way to pick up one of these nice little Samsung 3 key chargers.
I think it's
the wireless
pronounced
charger.
Qi.
And he stuck it into a Nook. All you had to do was wire it. If you scroll down, you glue it in, you wire it into the USB, grounds it out on the actual connector, and just one wire in for the charging.
You know, it looks like that USB port has an infection.
It does
There's
look
a
a little
parasite.
dusty, doesn't it?
So
But he's pretty much
happening?
added wireless charging to
Oh.
this.
Okay.
So what they did was they have this, and they basically hot wired it straight into the USB port. That way, you can still use the USB port.
And it does actually work. You didn't need to put anything in between. Apparently, there is something built into that key charger,
I guess as
So-
long as it's outputting 5 volts,
Yeah.
which it is.
right?
But I mean, he figured that he would probably have to add a diode to sort of cut it out if you plug it in.
Yeah. Did he
have to.
only what device did he add this to? His
This is a Nook.
right. When you said Nook the first time, I was thinking next unit of computing. I was trying to figure out why that was useful.
No, the NOOK,
Yep, I
not
gotcha.
the NUC.
Gotcha. I would
Although
like to
you
do this.
Might be able to do that.
You know,
But
you-
it's just really nice to see that you can start adding wireless charging to things, because a lot of the motherboards we're seeing coming out nowadays, the deluxe edition is actually including this now.
Yeah,
I don't know if I
I
want
have
to
a
pronounce
Nexus.
it Chi. That sounds like it's mystical.
Yeah, I think it's pronounced Qi because
QI is-
the Z97 motherboard we got came with a charger for it. The Nexus 5 that I have here actually has it built in.
Sweet.
Now, it's not my primary phone because Verizon won't let me put it on there, so screw Verizon. But
Does
it's a nice phone.
how fast does it charge?
It's slower than hooking it up.
Of course.
Yeah, which
He saw 20% over about an hour. So it's
That's
not
fairly
quick, but then again,
yeah.
all you're doing is
that's
tossing it near
inefficient.
something.
Yeah.
and then,
All you really
if it's
need.
on the nightstand, that's
Yeah,
fine. If
yeah.
Exactly.
if you have one in your car because you need to charge it on your way to the meeting, that's
Yeah,
that's
it's-
not very helpful.
No.
then plug it in,
Then
because
plug-
plugging it in will work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's still got the USB.
Buy a
port
Minty
for it.
or build a Minty Boost. Use that to do the quick charging.
Josh, you're up next.
I am?
You're up now.
No,
Now, talk.
but that's
about
beside the
thing.
point.
Talk
Anyway.
about
Nice
this.
You know what? Alan got me onto this about a year ago, and I
Uh-oh.
didn't use it very much until this last weekend when I wanted to go from my OCZ Agility 3 240 gig, which has been a strong performer for me in my main machine
Uh-huh.
for quite some time. But I wanted to go to the 500 gig Samsung Evo. And
choice.
it did really nice. It made things easy and fast. And it worked.
What is the
And
name
it's
of it?
free. What?
What's the name of this thing?
Mini Tool, free partition manager software. You can do all kinds of fun stuff with this.
Is it really free?
It's free.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. There's a
Must
few.
be pretty good if it's free.
There's a few free pieces of software out there you can clone stuff over with.
No,
Yeah,
I
it's
reported
fantastic.
on this about a year ago.
Yep.
It
Alright.
also does 4K alignment for you SSD freaks.
It does.
Yes. Well, but it's anything like that you can get now that's still updated. Hopefully, we'll do 4K alignment. Yes.
Yeah, it's not so much a worry anymore, is it?
No. Used to be.
All right, Alan, you're last.
I'm last. So
Story
my
of his
pick,
life.
I've had it for a little while. I got it before I did the move, and I've been using the heck out of it because there's like birds' nests in my tree in front of my
And
house,
he's stalking them.
and I'm stalking the birds.
Look at the
nests.
size of that lens.
Yeah. So I've had like actually, Josh has one of the prior versions of this kind of a camera that I've owned.
It's almost in grasp of me. It's somewhere in my office.
Yes. So the prior versions of this, well, I mean, they still make them. They still make the super zoom versions of the Sony DSC. What was yours, Josh? You got the
HX1?
yeah, that was the HX1. Then they made like an HX100, then a
10,
200,
yeah,
then a
100.
300. Now I think there's even a 400, and those are all super zooms, right? And the super zoom kept getting bigger and bigger, and then
Super Zoom?
and then eventually
Super.
Sony went like, wait a minute, we should put like a regular zoom lens in this thing and see if we can get like the aperture crazy wide on it. So this is f2.8 across the entire zoom range, and it goes from, well, it goes all the way out to 200 millimeter. So it's basically like I think it's like a 7 times or so total zoom from wide. Yeah, optical. And it's image stabilized like the other DSC model cameras are nowadays. But it's got a lot of SLR kind of stuff on it. I mean, it's just like it actually has an aperture ring that you can, a notched aperture ring. You can even turn off the notching. There's a little switch on the bottom. You can like get rid of the aperture click, like clicky. Yeah, like you hit the switch and then it's just a
How much is that? $1,300?
It's a lot of money. Okay, so that's the thing. This is a lot of money for a camera, but
is that lens replaceable?
The lens is not interchangeable. Okay, but I would argue there's not very much reason to need to change it.
It's because you're not cool.
Because you're f2.8 across the whole range already, and that range is much bigger than you would get with any SLR and a single lens.
Here's what you need. You need a fine-tooth
yes.
bandsaw.
Yeah.
Fine-tooth bandsaw, cut it in half. Let's take a look at the mechanism.
You want to see the mechanism?
Make
Right.
it interchangeable is what he's saying.
He wants it interchangeable, but it's like I have not seen a need for it to be interchangeable. It's Zeiss image stabilized, optically image stabilized glass at f2.8.
Yeah, no, that's nice.
It's a good piece of glass, right?
And I spent my retirement to get this piece of equipment.
Maybe, yeah. So the other good part of this particular camera is it's the same sensor that's in those other more compact Sony cameras that have come out recently, that 1-inch sensor, which is significantly larger than the sensor in a typical super zoom. It's not quite APS-C sized, but it's much bigger. It's like 6 times the area of your typical super zoom camera sensor, right? So the high ISO performance is basically SLR-like. You just get much more bennies out of it. And since it's a bigger sensor, you also get better effect of depth of field when you're trying to do wide aperture depth of field photography. So that combined with f2.8, it's good stuff. It's
cool.
Very flexible.
Can you do that whole shift focus thing to get the Sherlock, effect? What's that called?
I could do that with my Nexus 5.
Tilt shift?
Tilt shift.
Tilt shift? No, you'd have to do that in software if you wanted that.
Fine.
Well, you generally
Crap.
do anyways.
Sorry.
It's crap.
Crap. So people thought I might have been rude while he was talking, checking something on my phone, but I found another review on Legit Reviews of the Devil's Canyon, and guess what frequency they decided was the highest stable overclock they could get?
2.8.
4.7.
4.7 is the correct answer.
Oh.
1.351 volts.
Is that the same voltage? Or
That's a
damn
little
close?
bit lower than mine.
Oh,
Mine was
okay.
1.36. So there is definitely something to be said for the fact that I have now seen 3 reviews of Devil's Canyon, my own being one of them, and they all hit 4.7.
Okay.
So the thing is that's not bad, right?
No, that's good.
That's 4.7 all cores. So
And-
you're raising it from 4 gigahertz to 4.7.
And to be clear, what cooler?
I was using a Corsair H100.
Okay.
Which is a 200. No, it's a. I'm sorry, I was using an H80, which is a 120 millimeter.
I wonder if any of those other
Self-contained
guys
water
were
cooler.
just using like the stock cooler.
No.
No? Is it
No.
really that bad?
No. Yes, that cooler's a piece of shit. I'm surprised it can even do it at stock.
Okay.
No.
All right. Just asking.
So there you go. That's our podcast. What do you guys think? No Ken involved. How do we judge it?
We should just fire him.
Yeah, I mean,
We don't need him.
if I change the locks, you can't come in and get the switching thing back.
Yeah. Then we're golden.
That's $6,000. I mean, that's positive.
Well, no, if I keep it, this is how we replace him.
Yeah.
Right? I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do that. What else do you
Ryan
need?
is pushing Ken's buttons right now.
Right, look, we can look at the chat room
Sweet.
and, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, Ken,
All right.
your internship
Of course, it does mean you now have to push your
is
own buttons.
officially canceled.
It's going to be, he's going to be
Internship.
really sad when he comes back from vacation. I
Aw.
swear.
Yeah, here's your W-2. Bye-bye.
Nah, I'll wait. We have, with Richard Huddy coming in next week.
Yeah, we're gonna
make
need
sure
him.
we
We're gonna-
have him
yeah,
here.
just one more
I don't
week.
want to have to deal with the buttons while doing the interview.
Yeah.
Although, guess you're not in the interview. You can hit the buttons.
I can hit the buttons then.
All right,
But,
so-
for David Hewlett when he comes on.
Yeah,
We
that's
want-
true.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that is the episode for this week. Thank you, everybody, for joining us again. You can find us live, pcper.com/live. We record this show on Wednesdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And pcper.com/podcast is where you can go if you showed up late. Tomorrow we'll have the video, we'll have the audio, all that updated. And again, if you want to sign up, and I highly encourage you to do so for our live stream mailing list, and all we do is email you when we go live. It is at pcper.com/subscribe. It looks like this, and you give us your name, you give us your email address, and we send you a little note saying, hey, we're going to do live stream. And that's really cool, like I said, because the one with Richard Huddy coming up in the not too distant future on Tuesday the 17th, we're giving away an R9 295 X2 live
To me,
not to Josh.
on air.
That's a lot of prizes. That's a $1,500 video card with probably a $300 or $400 power supply to go along with it.
Yeah.
Right. So, plus a lot of other video cards and 15 never settle forever little codes.
Yeah, because AMD is totally slacking off on their developer support and buying games.
That's what we're talking about, right? Well, I think a fair question is: are you only buying games, or are you actually improving the games? And that's something that he has a huge amount of information on. So I'm also.
If you doubt that we give these out, follow PCPer Gaming, because the vast majority of the prizes from the last LAN party just landed in people's pockets this week.
They gave away 25 FX8350s. Is that right?
Yeah, because an extra $199 processor just it sucks. They're so cheap.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Ugh. So that's going to be it. We will see you guys next week, hopefully for the multiple live streams we're going to be having. Until then, we'll see you next time. I'm Ryan Shrout.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Alan Malventano.
Bye, guys. Look, I even got the everything feed.
Hey, look! Look how many
Look at those
CPU
cores.
streams we have.